Awesome, man. Let's jump in. All right. Yeah, John, go over a little bit about who you are, what the business is, and break that down for us.
Sure. My name is Jonathan Maxim. I'm the CEO of a company called Viral App Launch, which is a tech accelerator specializing in launching apps from 0 to 10,000 users. We've launched about 300 apps over the years. Been doing this for, I don't know, close to 10 years now. And yeah, been expanding really fast recently.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, could you kind of go into a little bit of where you were in the specific business? We've done a lot of stuff together. We've done a lot of business together. But this business, where were you before we started, before we did the coaching, and compare that to where you are now?
Yeah, when I came to you, we had a funnel that was working functionally, but it was basically growth was flat. We couldn't break above a certain ceiling, which at the time was about 100K per month. Sometimes we would go above it, but we couldn't get it to that next level. And and our costs would rise whenever we scaled ads, and then sales wouldn't keep up. And so we couldn't justify spending more on marketing at the time. So that's where I came to you. Sorry, did you want me to talk about where we are now as well?
Yeah, I mean, you could jump into that a little bit now, but where you are right now.
So after working with Anthony, we shot from about 100 to 125K per month up to we're doing about 210K a month right now, but we're on target to do 300K per month by the end of this month. But we're expecting it to continue scaling because the ads are, we're getting a 12x return on ad spend on our ads versus about 4x what we were getting before. And so
12x.
it's just, the fuel is refueling the engine really, really fast now. So we're just, scaling every week as much as the ads can tolerate it, essentially.
That's amazing. If I remember correctly, before that, I think you were primarily relying on, or at least heavily relying on organic. Is that true? Is that correct?
We had ads. We didn't have much organic, but the ads they just weren't that scalable. So we would close between 3 to 4 clients a month with our current ad spend, which at the time was about $5,000 a month. And now we're spending about $25,000 a month. So we 5X'd it. But again,
Okay, okay,
went from doing 4X ROAS to 12X ROAS in the same time.
okay. All right. So before we started working, before we did that coaching session and fix a lot of these things, what would you say was the biggest thing that you were stuck on? What wasn't working, and what kind of felt heaviest, in that transition phase to scaling?
Well, there was a fear associated with scaling. It was like, okay, we've tried this before. We tried spending more, but it wasn't a measurable impact, a directly measurable impact from the increase in spend. That was kind of the leadership component that was missing. And then at the practical level, we didn't understand how to maximize and optimize our creatives so that we could scale efficiently. So what was happening was the cost per lead would increase when we increased ad spend, which meant we'd get the same amount of leads. We'd just spend more and it would be kind of useless.
Hmm. So, you went into a little bit there with the creatives. What specifically did we work on together, and what kind of clarity did you get that, we fixed together through this coaching?
Yeah, the main thing that you helped us break the mold on and break our worldview and see a bigger worldview was that we need a content engine that is pumping out content every week. So every time we scale, we add new ads to the campaigns, which would train the algorithm to show it to more audiences, expand the net, and then bring in more of the qualified leads. So basically, we were opening the aperture and the reach of the campaigns every time we added new creative. So you helped us set up a system for consistently producing basically viral style organic videos, but for ads. And so that really made the CPMs go down and the CPLs go down. And so at that point, we saw costs per lead go from about 50 to $90 per lead to right now it's about $29 per lead. So we saw our costs cut by between 50 and 80%. Meanwhile, we're dumping more budget into it. So we're getting a lower cost per lead, a lot more volume. And at that point, it just made obvious sense to scale hard.
That's amazing. So you're getting a lot more volume now at obviously an amazing cost. How would you say the quality of the lead? Is the quality of the lead the same, or has it improved at all with all the new
It's just
content?
getting better. It's getting better with time because there's another ad strategy that you shared with us that worked really well, which was called the tornado. And basically, we have this retargeting engine going to everyone who engaged with our website, Instagram, shot us a DM, commented on a post, whatever. Everyone's getting retargeted. Even the people who have submitted a form, they're all getting retargeted with a bunch of educational content that addresses objections that we got in the sales process and we turned them into retargeting videos. So if there's a fear about budget, we talk about how to budget for a launch. So we brought all the pain points from the sales process back to the tornado. And so we have this tornado running where all of these users are getting way more educated. All the leads are getting way more educated. And then therefore they're coming in much more high quality. So that was a big piece of it. And we also added a 1 hour training into the pipeline, into the sales funnel, because we found that if somebody watched that 1 hour training with me, it's basically a free master class. Our close rate went from about 30% to 80% on those leads. So of course we started putting that, content into the pipeline for every lead.
That's incredible. So this content, right, the tornado, right, is pushing them further in the sales process, right? So they're just
Yeah.
becoming more like order taking calls instead of, presentations and,
Yeah. A lot less presentations, a lot less dog and pony shows. We have this 5 step process, the above framework, which is like, the 5 stages of an app launch. And the 1 hour training is basically our sales presentation stripped of all the sales uh, language. It's just pure value based and pure educational based. And so it puts the leads into a reciprocal state of value, and so they become actually grateful to the calls. Meanwhile, we don't have to sit down and do a 1 hour, 30-minute pitch with each client to show them what it's about because they already know.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, and honestly, that makes the salespeople much happier that they don't have to do as much work on these calls, and they're
Yeah,
just a lot further along, right? So it's not the
they can
first
take
time
more
they're hearing of
calls.
you. They just been kind of brainwashed into, viral app launch is the only solution for them.
Yeah,
So
and we are. We just had to get that a point across because we chose a niche where there's nobody else here. The only people who are here are the ones who copied our model, there's 2 of them, but they're not as successful. So
you're always that's like a badge of honor, right? When everyone starts
yeah,
copying you, right?
yeah.
So, you went over a lot of the things here, already like ROAS and, what was the biggest, unlock for your ROI and your ROAS there. You said you got a 12x ROAS. That's
We've been
incredible.
printing 12x for 3 months straight now.
That's amazing. I love to hear it.
Yeah, it's crazy numbers.
So,
Andromeda's incredible.
yeah, honestly, like everyone's like, freaking out about it, but when you have this strategy, it's exactly what it wanted. The new algorithm is looking for more educational content, not just clickbaity, buy my thing, right? So, that's amazing. Now, what surprised you the most working together? We've done a lot of projects in the past. We've worked together for a while. What surprised you the most, learning, on this, these sessions, these coaching sessions?
Yeah, what I think is the most surprising is that like the thing that you need to hear most or that is going to lead to the biggest breakthrough is usually something small that you're not expecting. So a lot of times I come into something expecting, oh, I'm going to learn how to like write better scripts for my videos. And yeah, we probably learned how to write better scripts, but what we really learned was like the strategy behind doing the tornado, doing the educational video. And so I guess in my experience, anytime you buy coaching, there's like one little thing that you learn that has like a massive impact. And so you can never really predict exactly what that is. And that's why I buy coaching so that I can break my own mold around it and rattle my own cage because a lot of times I don't know what's the issue. I might even be identifying the wrong issue. And then somebody like yourself comes in and says, oh, it's actually over here. You're actually not even looking at the right thing. Which, imagine I could go and chase that wrong thing for 2 months trying to solve for it. So that was a pretty big surprise, and really it just you plug this into a content way of thinking about content and systems that when we unlock that, now we launch about 10 new videos per week, and we have hundreds of variations of all our winners and things like that.
Amazing, amazing. I've always said that it's the little things that are the difference between a $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1 million a month. It's the little things. It's never this incredible like super fancy tactic or it's
Yeah.
very tiny things you might already be doing but just not putting enough focus into, right? And like you said, it's always like knowing where. you can hire the repair guy to fix a problem that he fixes in 2 seconds and pay him a bunch of money, but it's because he knew where to put the hammer, where to fix the problem. So it's always knowing that where that signal is and help and getting that help to identify those signals. Because when you have all these things going on in your business, it's hard to have that clarity because you have an abundance of decisions you have to make. So, you can take a step back or have someone see from an outside perspective. They can find that signal a little bit easier for you. Now, how would you say, we talked about it a little bit. How would you say that this growth, this improvement in quality of leads and cost of leads has impacted your team, your sales team, media buying team? How would you say it's impacted them?
Well, I mean, you know, we're bringing in 100,000 plus of extra new revenue this month and every month really, and that leads to promotions, bonuses, excitement. The whole culture is improved. Everybody's in a better mood. People are like joking around, having fun on calls and stuff now because we're not just like feeling like a gun to our head all the time. And we're hiring more staff so that we have more support for the people, actually executing our launches. So they're winning in every way. Meanwhile, me as a business owner, I can make more power moves with this much revenue coming in. I can invest properly. I can, optimize our branding, whatever it is. So, you know, whenever you bring that much cash collected in, especially, if you're selling 3 month or 12-month PIFs like we are, then it just unlocks all kinds of opportunity and potential for the company and for the team.
That's incredible. So, it's really about, especially as a founder yourself, not just making a bunch of money, but having that peace and right and that opportunity to make these bigger moves, right? So you're not always just struggling about paying the bills or paying the team. So I
Yeah.
love that,
Yeah. We
you have
went
that
from
opportunity. That's incredible.
that's how it was before. It was like we had just enough money to throw 5 or 10K into ads, but not enough to make any like major moves. Not until we started cash collecting heavy on the front.
It's amazing, amazing. So we're almost done wrapping up here. So if someone's already, say, at 25,000 to $300,000 a month or even more, but they're feeling like they're dragging weight internally, they're drowning in pressure and decisions, and they have no clarity, would you recommend they work with me, and why?
Yes, I think that first of all, you know how to make the stuff scale, which a lot of people think that they know how to do. They think it's just turning up the ads, but that's not what scaling is. In fact, that's almost, that's maybe 1% of what it actually is. Having the willpower to, invest their money. It's not just about that. It's about actually making it profitable while you scale. Second thing is like, if you're anything like me, you don't know it, but you get paralysis by analysis. You're trying to crank the wrenches and zoom in and double click into everything, and it ends up getting frustrating. You don't have breakthroughs until you like take a step away and have somebody else take a look at the situation, get some fresh hands in there. So I think a lot of, especially entrepreneurs, are prone to that like self-defeating behavior of working too hard and then crushing themselves, their inspiration and thinking outside the box. It just can't happen in a pressure cooker like that. And so you have to step back, go with somebody who's trusted, go with somebody who's done it before, who's got the track record, who's seen those numbers and more, and seen your stage of the business and knows, oh yeah, when you're at this stage, this is what happens. Like, let me just pop this piece off here, and you guys are good to rock.
Amazing, amazing. And then just to, wrap it all up, is there anything else you would say to a founder that's thinking about stepping into this kind of support that we provide here at Unlock Founders?
Look, I would say every time I've invested in coaching, it's been a little scary, especially because the prices can be kind of high. But in this case, I mean, look, there's no way that coaching costed me $200,000, $300,000, and that's the amount of revenue I've made since unlocking this. So, of course, you're going to feel a little nervous, spending, 5 figures on something. But every time I've done it, it's paid off. Like even some of the programs that I had the most doubt about. So if you feel good about the coach and you know that his experience is relevant, and Anthony has this broad range of experience, I would definitely move forward with it, because the worst that can happen is that you learn an expensive lesson, and the biggest lessons are learned through pain anyway. So you might as well just subject yourself to it, try to get going.
Awesome, man. I love it. I really appreciate the kind words and I appreciate you taking the time today to do this interview, John. I'm so excited. I'm so glad you're able to, hit these revenue goals. And really, it's just the sky's the limit from here. So I'm excited to see you hit 300, 400, 500K a month. We even talked about multiple seven-figure months, which is definitely in the near future for you. So I'm very excited. And again, I appreciate you doing the interview.
My pleasure, Anthony, man. I'm really grateful for everything that you've done for us and for me, and yeah, excited to keep winning together.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.